What's up, everybody? Welcome to S.W.A.T MMA. We're smoking weed and we're talking mixed martial arts. This is episode 117. I'm Jarrod here with Paul.
What up?
Coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. Today we're going to be smoking and talking all about the results of the latest UFC Fight Night, which saw Miesha Tate lose to Ketlen Vieira, Sean Brady get a big win over Michael Chiesa, and some other interesting fights. And we cannot go this show without discussing the excellent boxing match we saw right here from Las Vegas. Bud Crawford defeating Shawn Porter. We're going to discuss some upcoming title fights that we're finally getting to this weekend as well. Before we dive into the combat sports, though, you know what time it is. Grab your weed, fire it up, and let's dive into the weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
Ooh, we're smoking on the Mob Boss today,
Mob Boss.
everybody.
I feel like
One of
my
my-
boss.
One of my favorite strains, ultra rare, cross of Chem Dog and Tang Tang.
Tang Tang.
Tang Tang is a very unknown strain, not much known on the genetics at all, other than it is a 90% sativa, 10% indica. It's also one of the strains that make up the Pootie Tang strain, which is pretty popular in dispensaries out here right now.
Okay.
Chem Dog is a classic.
Classic.
It is OG Kush crossed with Sour Diesel, and it is one of my all-time favorite strains because I love both of those. And if you listen to us long, you know I love the diesel weed, where Paul does not care for that shit so much.
Still, anything called Mob Boss, I gotta smoke.
It's one of my favorite name strains too, honestly.
Yeah.
We also got some Tropicana Cookies wax today. And as a refresher on the cookies genetics, for those of you that have forgot, it is Girl Scout cookies crossed with Tangy. Now, we've broken down Girl Scout cookies a million times, but Tangy's a great strain, folks. If you ever come across it, it's California Orange crossed with Skunk No. 1, and it has got a wonderful, wonderful fucking orange flavor.
Yeah, see, I like Tangy freaking Shatter, or not Shatter, but any kind of concentrate that's Tangy, because usually you get a nice, real citrusy flavor coming from that.
Yeah, I remember we got some of that from all those one folks we were working with.
OMG THC.
Yeah, OMG THC, when that dude Glenn down there had made some fucking Tangy,
Some Tangy,
shatter
yeah,
that was
shatter.
so
Yeah.
orangey.
And it was solventless too, so it had a lot of good terps in there.
That is, I think the next weed that we get for the show, I want to get something that's real fruity. Like lately, all of the strains we've been doing have been more like chemically, diesel-y,
Yeah.
skunky. That sounds funny. I want some fruity weed.
Yeah.
But I do, man. I've
Good
like
luck.
something with some nice orange or some lemon.
Yeah. I feel that.
I like that lemon burst. That's a good
I like
strain.
nice lemon haze.
Yeah, lemon haze is killer.
Yeah. I like yeah.
But we got the packs 3 fully loaded and ready to go with that wax, though. Anytime you want to hit that up. We hope you're smoking on something delicious and legal as well. Let's go ahead and dive into the combat sports. Paul, you want to start with the UFC, or you want to talk about the boxing?
Let's just dive straight into the UFC just because I feel like it's a little bit less to talk about.
Yeah, look, if you want to talk about who won as far as entertainment value, the weekend in combat sports is definitely top rank.
Yeah,
With the Crawford
absolutely.
Porter bout. That was insane.
Yeah.
The UFC card,
It was good.
it had its moments.
I feel like it was just more of like a prospect, showdown. It's a whole bunch of prospects.
Let's talk about one that stood out to me, which is Sean Brady versus Michael Chiesa at welterweight. Okay, you had Sean Brady coming in undefeated. Chiesa has been talking a big game at welterweight for a while.
And he's been putting on some pretty good performances, though.
He has. This is true. But he had just nothing, absolutely nothing for Brady, who blanked him, 5 takedowns, got the unanimous decision.
Yeah. He's someone to be worried about, I feel like, at welterweight at this point.
Brady?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Look, is he the most fun guy to watch if you're not into wrestling? Perhaps not. I mean, through 3 rounds, he landed 18 strikes in that 5 takedowns. Chiesa got 29 strikes, 1 takedown. But it was just such a domination. How often do you see Michael Chiesa get wrapped up on the ground like that and just be unable to answer anything?
It just doesn't make any sense because that's where Chiesa's his strongest, you know. And man, I just feel like this welterweight division was a couple weeks ago. We were talking about how there was just no real contenders, and I feel like every week they're just adding another guy who looks like he can, you know, at least give Kamaru some trouble.
That's the thing about the UFC is contenders can pop up. Somebody can go from a fringe fighter who might be good to contender real fast, and we've seen that with Chimaev. All right,
Yeah.
he came in and handled Li Jingliang like that,
Yeah.
and he's going to get a big fight, which will probably, if he wins that, get him to a title shot after
Yeah.
that. And now we've got Sean Brady, who's very interesting here. Chiesa came in here ranked number 6. Brady, I think, was all the way down like
He was
15
like
or
12.
14. Something
Oh,
like
is
that.
he that?
But not only did he get the win, but he gets the W in such a dominant fashion over somebody who you just don't see that happen to.
Yeah.
Now, do I think they're going to match the two of them together? No, because they probably regret
They got
that.
plans, yeah.
But you're right. Brady is a real problem here. I don't think he's ready for Usman yet, but you add him with Khamzat, you get both these guys a big fight.
We'll see
and
who's ready.
We're going to see, because they're both in the top 10 after this, I do believe.
They have to be.
Him taking out Chiesa, who's ranked number 6, they're both undefeated. Suddenly, a little bit of fresh blood in here. I
I like
unfortunately
it.
fell victim to a fake Twitter account over the weekend. I got excited for a minute. I thought Chimaev got booked against Masvidal,
Yeah.
which I got excited briefly, but I don't know how I wound up following a fake Brett Okamoto account. I'm usually pretty good about that, but I'm driving along and I just get the notification on Twitter. I was like, oh, shit. 'Cause I think he blitzed
They
Masvidal.
got you.
But
Yeah, I think he'd fuck Masvidal up.
But Masvidal also highly ranked. It would be it
would
get
make a lot of
Chimaev
sense,
to that
yeah.
title fight. Which again, I'm not a fan of this guy, but you respect the fighting ability. That's what we're here to talk about is fighting. That took a fucking fight.
And I mean, we didn't really plan on talking about this before, but he also had like a submission wrestling match with Jack Hermansson over the weekend.
Yeah, over there in Sweden.
And just like, holy shit, dude. Like, he's on a...
yeah, he shut him out.
like-
Like landed a massive throw against him.
Dude, multiple. There was... The scrambles that they were, like, involved in were just so high level at, like... It was fucking ridiculous, man. Just ridiculous. Like, for anyone who says that, like, you can't make money off, like wrestling matches and shit like that, like, you know, and it isn't interesting, go watch that. Go watch that.
That was
Straight
an
up.
interesting card they were on. It was like a hybrid of
Yeah.
MMA and I think boxing and
And then it was like a
And they had a
hybrid
wrestling match
but it was
at
like
the-
wrestling and judo and fucking jiu-jitsu all together because it was like catch wrestling that you could also like do submissions, but
I'm
there
having
was
a
still
hard
like a
time-
scoring system.
I'm having a hard time getting a gauge on Chimaev's size.
Yeah,
Because I get, I mean, yeah, we can read the stats. I
Yeah.
get what his numbers are, but that's not the whole story.
no,
Okay, because he made Jack Hermansson look small.
Yeah.
And Hermansson usually fights at 85.
yeah,
So we've got Chimaev going all the way down to 70. I mean,
very interesting.
yeah, I wasn't expecting that, seeing them together like that, to see him with that size advantage. So it's very surprising.
The strength advantage is scary too because Hermansson is seen as one of the better grapplers in that division, and he's made quite a few people at 185 pounds look stupid. And I think, I mean, not that he looked awful because he was in it the whole time, but like you could just see that he was for every move that Hermansson made, like Khamzat was literally like a fucking hold. Like he was like there's levels to this shit type thing. Like he was just a step ahead of him at every single thing he did.
It makes me more and more interested in seeing how he is going to match up with Usman. If he gets there.
Usman and him would be very fucking interesting.
Because
man.
Usman's wrestling is top tier, and his striking has
yeah.
come along. But I mean, what this fool's knocking motherfuckers out with the
With
quickness.
one punch and then taking people down and holding them down, and fucking choking the life out of them, beating the shit out of them. With like I don't know what
I wish he was more likable. I'd be all on board with this dude.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand him personally.
Yeah. Well,
But
you know what
Jesus,
though?
He's such a terror in the cage.
One thing I do want to say though, about the whole size thing, is it's a good and a bad thing because we've seen him struggle in his last fight to make 170 pounds. So really just like when you see him beat up on people at 185 pounds like that, you sit there and you ask yourself, why are you killing yourself so bad to get to 70 if you have that strength and you have those abilities? I mean, 185 pounds would just make more sense, I would
Yeah,
guess.
he's 6'2", so he's tall.
Yeah, he's tall as
Uh,
hell.
He's not a muscular
No.
individual.
No.
Like he doesn't like Sean Brady circling
Yeah.
back to the other contender. We're talking like he's ripped. Like
Yeah,
that dude
shredded.
is thick as fuck. He's fucking. It's kind of hard to tell because he's that dude doesn't have any blank skin.
Yeah,
on him
dude, he's got
anywhere
so
than
much
his feet.
tats.
Like he's super tatted. So it's a little bit hard to gauge exactly. But I mean, he appears to be super fucking muscular.
Yeah.
Whereas Chimaev is not. He's an enigma with that. But Brady's definitely asserting himself here with that victory. I don't know what's next for Chiesa. He's got some things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm real interested in who they're going to match Brady up with next. As long as it's not Chimaev, I'd like to see him get somebody
Higher up.
Oh, it's a weird division, but I'm really excited to see at least two fresh faces.
Added to the mix.
With the right matchmaking, they're each with a victory,
Uh-huh.
right, one fight away from a title shot.
Yeah, they keep winning in which the ways they are. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you deny that at some point? Another fight I did want to bring up as well was Adrian Ynez coming back, taking on Davey Grant, and you know,
Man, they threw a lot
Yeah.
of strikes in that, man.
uh,
Winds up being a split decision, right,
mhm.
for Ynez. And it's funny when you look at the strike totals after 3 rounds, it was 100 to 98.
Yeah. Well, I just feel it ends up being a split decision. So a few judges had it both either way. I personally had Ynez win. I just feel like he just was a little bit more effective. But man, this freaking bantamweight division is just filled with monsters, dude. Just monsters everywhere.
I can't remember his last fight, but Davey Grant is not an easy out.
No, he's not. Yeah.
And he had a fine showing as well.
Yeah.
They got to get something cracking here with. Did you see Aljamain Sterling was at the event?
I didn't.
Yeah, he was there,
Okay.
which isn't that crazy because he lives here
He
now.
lives here, yeah.
But it's just weird seeing him there. There's an interim champ, and he doesn't look injured. I mean,
Yeah.
he's fine.
Well, it's one of those injuries though
Yeah.
where you don't look injured and fucking, anything like neck, spine related, like it's not really something unless you're.
No, I
like,
mean
yeah.
I know we've talked about it here before. I'm
Yeah.
experiencing something similar, but
It is strange though. I'll give
it'd be
you
good
that.
to see him back in there. It's just
Yeah.
weird seeing the champ without any type of idea when he's going to be back.
Yeah, that's true. It is strange.
Well, let's talk about the main event. And I'm just going to be honest, dude. I mean, it was Miesha Tate versus Ketlen Vieira.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aboard the Miesha Tate comeback train. I haven't been. And I was thinking prior to this fight that she spent so much time talking about how she's a threat to Amanda Nunes. I was like, man, you're kind of overlooking this really tough out in front of you.
Yeah.
And then she winds up getting beat down, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, if you look at the final strike total, she had more, but you look at the fight overall, and I mean,
look at freaking homegirl's dome piece, and you'll see who won the fight.
yeah, she was pieced up.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was a bloody mess, and Vieira looked fine.
Well, you know what I think was really like the equalizer in the fight is Vieira's ability to keep her on the outside with the jab and like making Miesha have to work so hard to get in and even land punches that like even when she was landing, they were like glancing blows and shots that weren't really hurting her whatsoever.
She was lunging in a lot.
Yeah,
into
she
that,
kept doing
so-
that thing where she was like faking a shot and then she'd come over the top. But she would
With
like
the right hand?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but 90% of the time she wasn't actually coming over the top of the right hand. What she really was doing was faking a shot, trying to get her to open up, and then closing the distance with that shot, and then trying to throw whatever else she had.
And it left her open to getting
Yeah.
smacked a lot by straight
lot.
shots
Uh-huh.
from Vieira, which is what happened. And I honestly thought Vieira could have just opened up at any point and ended that fight. I felt like
I think
she
she
was
could have in the
really
fifth.
hesitant
Yeah.
to do so, but it was well within her capabilities. She just never pulled that trigger.
Well, you know what's interesting about this fight also is Vieira's not known as a striker. You know, she's known for her grappling and her jiu-jitsu game. And so for her to really show her how much she's evolved since her last fight or last few fights, it really like I mean a lot of people are talking about it, but I think it is more of just like a 135 thing, but like I could see her being the next challenger for Amanda, you know what I mean? Like at this point with a win over Miesha, you know, that's a pretty big win. And with where the 135-pound division is, I just don't see there being anybody else really. I mean, obviously she's already scheduled to fight Pena, but I'm saying after that, I don't see really much other contenders outside of Vieira.
No, I don't either. I would think that even if she stays idle and doesn't fight again, seeing that Amanda's most likely going to beat Juliana Pena, let's be honest,
Whoa,
she's probably
that's much.
next in line.
Yeah.
If Nunes keeps fighting.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is always that.
Yeah.
But I just look. I like Miesha Tate. I respected her career. I didn't understand this comeback after 5 years. And when you beat a 44-year-old fighter on her way out the door, okay, cool, you got something. But
Yeah.
I didn't see her getting anywhere near a title shot. And
Not
I
with
think
that
this kind
performance.
of puts a stamp on that. Now I don't know if she's going to keep fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, if she does, she's fine. She's got fights to offer that are entertaining and good. She's a good fighter, but
Yeah.
she's nowhere near a title shot. I'm not on board with that. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, it's not that I'm against the Miesha Tate comeback, but I just don't necessarily know why she's doing it. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. Is like, sure, if that's what you want to do what you want to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to come in here and make noise and become the champion again. Like, and you really have to ask yourself, is that what you want? You know what I mean? Because that's kind of the crossroads she's going to hit now. Is there's a finite number of contenders that are going to get you to a title shot, and if you can't beat them, then you're really running out of time because you already took 4 years off and retired and now have come back. So how much time do you have to spend fighting your way back to the belt or waiting for someone to fall out? You know?
Exactly. It would be different if, like, Amanda had retired and Miesha decided to come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Kind of like when Rumble Johnson was like going to come back after John lost the belt.
Yeah.
So it's like
That makes some sense because
Yeah.
then maybe you do have a shot at getting the title.
mhm,
But you don't. Why come back when Amanda's still there?
doesn't make any
Whatever.
sense.
That was it for that UFC card.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it had good spots, but overall was a little thin.
It was a lot of decisions on there too. I mean, we had Joanne Calderwood fighting. It was a brutal fight.
Yeah, Talia Santos is a legitimate contender at this point.
Yeah, and and she lost. She got subbed out rear naked choke in the first round.
She was getting beat up to that point too, though.
That's tough. She married her coach, the head guy over at Syndicate here in Vegas,
I
John
think he
Wood.
gives her free classes.
Probably now. But I mean, how hard is that to be
It's
coaching
good.
your wife and then watch your
Yeah.
wife get her fucking ass kicked?
Yeah, I
I
feel
can't
like there
even
has to
imagine.
be some kind of mental separation there, though.
There's got to be.
To handle that situation. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I don't think.
I don't know. Joanne Calderwood's a great fighter, but I feel like she is almost in a similar spot to Roxanne Modafferi. Just you're good, but you're not going to be able to handle this new crop of fighters coming up. You're not going to sniff that
Yeah.
title shot out.
I feel like that's kind of where their whole generation is, whether whether male or female. Like everyone, I feel like this newer generation of fighters is just starting to come up and just throw things and have so much more of a complete game because people are actually training mixed martial arts rather than each discipline like they had before. That some of these people are just coming in so goddamn sharp. Like how do you stop them? You know?
Yeah. I mean, she's a crossover from kickboxing.
Yeah.
But her kickboxing isn't helping her anymore. I mean, it's just these new fighters are too much for some of these older veterans.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I think that about does it for the UFC event.
Yeah,
Let's dive into what was that? Go ahead.
So we got UFC next week,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd much rather talk about the boxing that went down because that was really the highlight of this weekend.
Oh yeah.
we had Terrance Crawford versus Shawn Porter for Crawford's titles. And Porter, to start off with, I mean, he loses a 10th round TKO.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the story of the fight, though.
No.
That was an absolutely epic fight. I wanted to catch it on a replay and watch it again. However, I was unable to before the show. It starts off pretty typical. Crawford's never been a fast starter.
No.
He always takes, at least the first 2 rounds to kind of feel you out.
Most of the great ones aren't. Most of the great ones all do that. You know what I mean? They all, let you come out and make the mistakes. And I feel like
And take a minute to just figure out what your
game plan is.
what your game plan is. And I felt Porter's best chances were to try and attack him early and get him out of there if he could, while Bud is still slow and getting his rhythm going.
Yeah.
And Porter came out doing that exactly. I mean, he's always aggressive, but he was very controlled aggressive in this fight, which showed, I thought, really good game planning. Towards the end of the fight, as it wore on, he started getting a little more sloppy and lunging a bit more.
Yeah.
But as it started, especially in round 1, I mean, he was really controlled behind the jab. Round 2, I gave him both the first 2 rounds. Of course, he was a lot more active, but he just, like I said, a lot of controlled aggression.
Mm-hmm.
Once we started getting into the later rounds in the beginning, like round 3, like we just said, you see Crawford starting to open up a bit more, and you started seeing the lunging coming in for effect for Porter, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the lead hand battle was slowing him down a little bit because we had a southpaw versus orthodox, so their hands kept bumping quite a bit, and that seemed to be fucking him up. And then in that round also, he got a cut under his eye from a headbutt, which it didn't affect the fight too much that I thought, but it's really hard to tell because after that, going into the 4th round, the scar tissue there is bleeding, and he just went on more with the lunging, especially when he was trying to set up the spin move in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would let Crawford back him up into a corner,
And then you flip it.
and then he would try very quickly to kind of lunge out and then spin around and get behind Porter and force him into the corner or behind Crawford, which he did that a lot. But when he was lunging, he was getting tagged, lunging in and getting tagged. So.
Well, I think after this fight, one thing everyone could at least agree on is that Shawn Porter knows how to put together a game plan and continuously stick with it. Because I think I said this last week, but I feel like since he's took the analyst role, I mean, and before, but even more now, he has the ability to kind of sit back and watch and see how these guys handle themselves, see all the different, intricate techniques and stuff like that, and then he just turns around and he's willing to fight anybody. You know what I mean? That's a real big part of why people love Porter also, is he's fought all the people that everyone wants to fight, the Spences, the obviously Crawford, Kell Brook, freaking even go back to Jesus, of course I'm drawing a blank now. But my point being is he's fought all the best guys in the world, and he's been hairs away from decisions, and like the Spence fight was a complete toss up at multiple times. You know what I mean? And in this fight as well.
Oh, dude, going into at the end of round 6, I had the fight on my personal scorecard dead even. The official strike count was 54 landed for Porter, 53 landed for Crawford. I mean, and that's at the halfway through the fight. It's dead even in punches, dead even on the score, in my mind.
Yeah.
But then that's also where we saw Crawford start to take it away. I mean, but still, Porter was in it every time. But then I had 7, 8, 9, all for Porter. For Crawford. And then I thought round 9 was kind of a pivotal moment for Shawn Porter because you had a lot of big lefts hitting the body from being fired from Crawford. And his lunging got to the point where he was putting his head down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a real danger sign. And Crawford saw that. And that's in the 10th. I mean, he puts him down with a left uppercut right when he
walked into it also.
Yeah, right when he was coming in. Like he'd been lunging in and timing it and waiting. And then he saw him moving in. He fired that uppercut and puts him down. And, Porter gets right back up. But then that was at the 230 mark. And then, boom, right hook, flush on the jaw. Porter straight to the canvas. He's pissed off. He's mad. He's banging the canvas. He gets up, but then his pops threw in the towel.
Understandable.
To some controversy, to some people, I thought it was
I don't think
good.
it's that big a deal. Well,
No,
here's my thing, is that was in the 10th round. Even if you had the fight even, there's no chance of winning that fight.
No.
If that with 2 knockdown round, that's where it ends. Like,
And Bud Crawford is a known finisher. He's on 9 straight fucking KOs now. And Porter was hurt. He wasn't out of it, but he was hurt.
hurt
And most
bad.
likely what was going to happen was Crawford was going to come in and
Finish him
put him
off.
away
yeah.
and finish him. And you're going to just have Porter take an unnecessary punishment here as a guy who's already at the end of his career. I show him by the fact he retired after this fight.
Yeah.
I think he didn't need to retire, just as a quick aside, but I respect the fact that he doesn't want to be a gatekeeper, is what he
Yeah.
said. And I respect that.
I understand that, but I also tend to not believe guys who'd retire the night of the fight.
Yeah, it's always an emotional moment.
Yeah. But yeah, just a masterful performance put on by Bud Crawford, and just man, this
He answered all the questions
Yeah.
that people have had. Can
quickly
he do all this
cemented
in the
his
big fights?
legacy.
Yes, he
Yeah.
absolutely can.
Yeah.
And he can win the big fights and win them emphatically. Nobody's ever put Porter down. Nobody's ever knocked him out.
Nope.
Now.
Now he's in TKO.
And you can't say it happened at a time when Porter was over the hill or anything. No, that dude is legit as fuck. And Crawford pieced him up and won convincingly, pulling away at the end and then getting the TKO. And to me, this highlights just a big difference between boxing and MMA. I agreed 100% with what Porter's dad did. For those of you listening that don't know, Porter's dad is his coach. Okay, and they're super close. Not only are they father, son, coach, and student, but they even fucking live across the street from each other. Like they're just tight. And he knows his fighter, and he's not going to allow his fighter to take unnecessary punishment.
Oh yeah, that's his job at the end of the day.
Which we see in mixed martial arts over and over and over and over again. In fact, when fighters tap so they don't receive additional punishment, they're fucking ridiculed for it. Look at Conor McGregor. He gets ridiculed for tapping quickly. What, is he just supposed to sit there and get fucking choked out and lose oxygen? I mean, if you're fucking choked out, you're choked out. We've seen fighters tap to. It's just
all kinds of different shit.
I'm just highlighting the attitude difference is amazing.
Yeah.
Kudos to Shawn Porter's father for not allowing his son to take unnecessary punishment. And kudos to both of those men for putting on absolutely amazing, amazing pay-per-view.
Yeah, for sure.
This, with Porter retiring, at least for now, we had at the press conference afterward, of course, Bob Arum sitting there, who is, Terrance Crawford's promoter for quite some time now. Just get told right to his face, we're done.
Yeah, as they should be.
Yeah, because he couldn't get the big fights for him, and Crawford said that right to his face. And Arum tried to fucking look like it didn't bother him, but you could see it when he said it.
Yeah.
You could see the flinch and the look in his eyes, like he was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
But that's his own fault, right, Paul?
Well, yeah, because he can build a fucking house in Beverly Hills with all the money he's lost on Crawford anyways, so why the fuck's it matter?
Right. I mean, what a thing to say. That's Dana White level shit.
Yeah, Dana White level shit.
And that wasn't the only time he said bad things about Crawford either.
Constantly talking shit on him.
Which is even worse in retrospect when you see now that the man gets the big fight and he performs like that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So it's looking like Crawford is likely going to go with Premier Boxing.
Think so?
They have a lot of the guys there that he wants to fight. And we don't know if Golden Boy, they've got one of them too, but we don't know how much Oscar's going to be up on that.
The only one that can make any sense to him, I would say, is maybe ESPN, freaking, Oh, wait, no, Bob Arum. Are they exclusively on ESPN Top Rank?
Top Rank?
Are they an exclusive?
I'm not certain.
Yeah.
I am not certain.
Maybe DAZN. Never know. Maybe the guys over at Showtime.
I think with the fighters they've got signed at PBC, that's what's going to.
Yeah, it would make the most sense probably.
We've got the Earl Spence fight, which is the one that
that's the fight everyone wants to see.
Everybody wants to see it. Porter's out there saying that he thinks it might, not be the fight that it was, just because the injuries that Spence has dealt with and may or may not be dealing with after effects of. But I don't know. He's just a little. I mean, he's lost to Spence as well.
Yeah.
So.
But I do think his fight with Spence was much closer than this one.
Yes. I would definitely say so. Leaves the UFC next weekend's card. We'll touch on briefly. We do have a good headlining fight, though. We've got Rob Font fighting Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
Right? That's an interesting fight at 135 pounds.
Quite interesting because Rob Font had an opportunity to fight for the interim title and chose Jose Aldo instead.
I don't know what to make of fighters when they do that, because even if it's just the interim, you still get that championship.
I feel like the
pay,
interim
don't
banner
you?
is such a bullshit thing, though, because first of all, even when you win, you're not crowned champion, pretty much. You're not getting the same purse as like someone who's considered the champion. So what's the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of interim titles either,
Yeah.
except I think it was needed in the 135-pound division right now.
That's
Because-
nothing more than a placeholder, though.
Yeah, well, with the champ injured, like we were talking about earlier, they need to do something to keep that division moving.
Yeah.
Do you think he beats Aldo next week?
No. But I do think it's a good fight.
I mean, he's 19-4. He's coming off that decision win over Cody Garbrandt, which is no joke. I mean, he TKO'd Marlon Moraes back when that carried a little bit more weight, because
Yeah.
Moraes has been kind of TKO'd a lot lately. But he's also got decisions over, fucking Ricky Simon and Sergio Pettis, for that matter, the current Bellator champ. He does have that loss to Asuncao decision way back in 2018. But I mean, Asuncao's world class.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this 135 division is literally completely stacked from head to toe.
I'm not a believer in Jose Aldo at this weight, though, personally. We'll talk about it more next week, but
I don't necessarily know if it's like a plus or a minus to me. Because he is I don't know. It's a good question, actually. Have to ponder that for next week for sure.
rest of the card is not that exciting. So we'll discuss that next week. But I did want to mention that was a big one. Big main event coming. I think that wraps us for the day.
Well, real quick,
No?
we cannot forget to talk about the 15th time rescheduled bout between George Cambosa and
Oh, geez.
Teofimo Lopez.
Dude, I forgot. I actually forgot. My bad.
Yeah, trying to shortchange
The fight
my
has
boy.
happened so many fucking times.
Yeah, well, it's been on 3 different networks and fucking been handed the biggest purse ever by a network and then swiftly swept out of the rug with COVID problems and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, I guess there was
But
more boxing.
We've literally talked about the bout 4 times at this point, so people know how we feel at least. But in case you guys
At
forgot,
least Eddie Hearn's getting it done.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
in case you guys forgot, let me refresh your memory a bit. So Teofimo Lopez was the unified lightweight champion-ish.
yeah. Except for
Ish.
Haney.
Except for Haney, but now the WBC has canceled all interim belts. So I do believe that would make him the lightweight champion, unified lightweight champ again. But my point being is, this fight is pretty much another mandatory.
Yes,
on the list
for
of
the
guys.
IBF, WBO, and WBA lightweight titles that Lopez is currently holding.
Yeah.
It is a mandatory. And, I mean, look, Cambosa is good. You know, he's undefeated.
Yeah, he's a good fighter, but I think Lopez is just on another wave right now that I don't think anyone in this division is really ready for.
And he's not a big power puncher, Cambosa.
No.
I mean, after seeing Lomachenko get handled the way he did by Lopez, it's hard to really get too excited about this fight.
I can't
Cambousas
pick
deserves
against him
it.
until I see otherwise.
Yeah, we've been on the Teofimo Lopez train since a long, long time now. Years at this point. And we both expect him to pretty much roll through Cambosa here. I'm just happy that this is finally happening. These guys have had to go through so much shit. I mean, you do a fight camp and then shit gets canceled. Yeah. they're taking less pay now
All
because
kinds of shit.
Triller overbid for that fight.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. They bid $6 million. The next closest bid, I believe, was 2.1,
Yeah.
and behind that was 1.9.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
But Triller is a company filled with idiots. So
Absolutely.
I mean, look what they're doing with this bullshit
Triad.
triad boxing. They're trying to do bare knuckle boxing in some weirdo gloves
And
in a-
Metallica.
in a triangular ring that they stole from some promotion called BYB, apparently.
Yeah.
Because they're
With
going
Metallica.
getting sued over the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even sound like it was an accident. From what I understand, they tried to co-promote with these guys that had a patent on a triangular ring.
They're like,
It
nah,
didn't work out, and they were just like, no, we'll just
Thanks for the
fucking
ring,
take your
brother.
idea. Yeah. So they couldn't get it done. And they happen to be running that ridiculous thing on the night of this Cambosa's Teofimo Lopez card. It's kind of like some crazy,
Yeah.
I don't know. I noticed we're not talking about that. You don't want to talk about Frank Mir fighting some boxer in a triangle ring,
Nah, I don't want
maybe?
to talk about that at all.
No, me neither. So I'm happy for both fighters to get their payday finally.
Yeah.
Though, because these guys have been waiting a year, haven't got any money, and how many fight camps?
I think
Just
3 at this point.
Because Triller can't get their shit together is what it ultimately boils down to.
Yeah.
But we're going to see Cambosa get his big moment here, but that's it. As
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
I tend to agree.
And I forgot there's another boxing on the same night. Showtime's got a unifier at super bantamweight between another guy that we've talked about quite a bit in the past, which is Brandon Figueroa.
Yep.
He is fighting Stephen Fulton. Fulton has a WBO super bantamweight title, where Brandon has got the WBC and WBA regular titles.
Yeah. Which means what?
I don't know what the fucking regular stuff
A
is.
regular.
Well, look, we got a 19-0 versus a 22-0. Although Brandon Figueroa is way more of a power puncher. He's got 17 of those 22 wins are by knockout, whereas his opponent, Stephen Fulton, has got 8 KOs in 19 fights, so not a whole lot. Plus, he's got height and reach advantage over Fulton, and I expect him to go in there and put on a show. Figueroa is a great boxer.
I like Figueroa. 2 guys who are still prospects, and not necessarily prospects. This is for championship, but I'm saying maybe pay-per-view prospects. Like this could be a good opportunity for Figueroa to really get his name out there.
Yeah, he's only 24
get
years
him
old.
trending and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm looking for something real big from him for this weekend.
Yeah, me too. Me too. This is a moment for him to come out and shine on Showtime.
Or the other way around.
And yeah, either way, if the other guy, if Stephen Fulton, this is his chance too, but whoever wins, I get excited when titles start to get unified. So this would be 3 of the presumed 4 or 5.
4 or 5, whatever.
I'm not sure it's super bantamweight. I think there's 4.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, we actually didn't plan about talking about this, but this just came to me. Did you hear that Canelo Alvarez on May 5th will be fighting for the Cruiserweight Championship?
I did.
200 pounds.
That's shocking to me. That's big balls right there.
Big balls, dude.
Big, huge, gigantic balls.
Big balls, bro. Holy
and
shit.
And the WBC just granted it, and they're
Yeah.
like, well, basically.
He's Canelo. What the fuck you want to do?
Yeah.
Like,
guy wants to fight every
he wants
champion
to
we
fight
got.
everyone we got.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Make us some more money. Bro.
Yeah, he's fighting, I think it's Macabu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, from what I know about his opponent, he's pretty solid. But the thing is, I mean, and this isn't a catchweight bout either. This is at
this is
200
cruiserweight,
pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that I got to wonder, is he done at super middleweight after this?
Nah.
I mean, can he get back down to 160?
Nah, I guarantee you he does exactly what he did at light heavyweight, captures it, releases it, goes back to 68.
I just brought up an opinion piece here. It cracks me up. The first thing it says is, I hate what Canelo Alvarez is doing. He doesn't need to do this. I hate it when people who sit on their ass and don't compete in the sport and probably never have write articles about what people who are chasing greatness and what that greatness means to them personally, and you want to shit on it.
Can you imagine
Get the fuck out of here.
if Canelo goes from, at one point in his career, fighting 147 to being the 200-pound cruiserweight champion? That'd be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that's Yeah, you went from fighting Floyd to
fighting cruiserweights.
yeah, and we're about to see, most likely Usyk fight here in a few more months. And I mean, there's the former cruiserweight champ right there fighting the heavyweight.
Yeah.
And Canelo's coming up and going to fight for one of those titles.
There's a super fight right there, dude. If he captures that WBC title, just should have Usyk drop back down and fight him.
At cruiserweight, wouldn't that be crazy?
Intense.
I can't believe the balls on Alvarez.
Just chasing greatness.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about for him at this point in his career.
May, this is going down.
Yeah, so he does have some time to put some weight on, obviously, but I just don't know where he's going to put 40 pounds onto that frame. Like, without looking out of shape,
Frank Sanchez says says Canelo's punches feel like a heavyweight.
We'll see.
And I mean,
he did knock
Frank
out
Sanchez is a
Kovalev.
heavyweight contender.
Yeah, and he did fight Kovalev and knock him out at 100. Was that 175?
Yeah, that was a light heavyweight.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
So, I mean, he fought at the class below cruiser, and he's sparring. I mean, he's going to be sparring with heavyweights in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanchez is in the same gym as Canelo, and a heavyweight. And if he's talking about Canelo's punches, well, clearly he's felt them. And Canelo's not stupid. They're not going to do anything dumb where he's just going to get lit up like a fool.
Yeah.
And he's not picking, a champion that is super dominant that everybody's heard of or well known. I mean, he's got a chance to pick this guy up.
Yeah.
Most likely.
What's crazy is we talked about literally, as this was a joke weeks ago when we talked about this. Remember you literally said, what is he going to go up to cruiserweight and fight better beat off?
Right. Yeah.
Kid, he goes up to cruiserweight, he fights someone else.
The other guy, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was funny. I did bring that up.
Yeah, you're like, what's next for him? Better beat off at cruiserweight? I was like, I hope not. But now I just can't believe it. That's just some fucking Canelo shit, dog.
Yes, sir.
Well, on that note, I think we can close the show for today.
Word. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you're brand new, you can catch us at all your major podcast outlets, including video on YouTube. Plus, we're on a couple different radio stations, WBUZ 95 and KLVM. We took all that info and we put it in one handy spot for you.
SWATMA.com, where you can head over there, click the gear button, and support the podcast. And follow us on Instagram at SWATMA Podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.